All right, and for your second and last video of the day for Sunday, got to talk about Bitcoin for a minute. This huge, we saw like $1,131 roughly, somewhere around there, high for Bitcoin, almost touching the all-time high, very close, and then dropping down significantly, like 20%, lost 20% in just a very rapid period of, quick period of time. It was down to below 888. Mind you, and then as Bitcoin, as Webbot said, it's going to hit 888. That number is going to bounce around. If you were going to see that number, it did. Went up again, was almost 1,000. It came back down again, 88 something again. So did it twice already. And as of this video, Bitcoin USD, $904.92. So it's already pushing 1,000 again. Well, almost 904 is not quite there, but it is close to 888 again. Anyways, I heard, the Chinese flooded, they sold off. There's going to be regulations coming, and that's what I've heard. But Bitcoin didn't seem to mind too much because it jumped right back up. So there's a couple of things. One of them is actually from Martin Armstrong. Bitcoin, what next, he says. And then we have Zero Hedge with China launches Bitcoin crackdown. People's Bank of China will probe abnormal investor behavior and rectify misbehavior. I take that as nothing because I read this. I'm like, they're essentially saying any exchanges in China that deal with Bitcoin, be on the lookout for anything fishy. And if you find anything fishy, you need to act on it. Oh, okay. What are you going to find fishy? You're not they're not trading mortgage-backed securities, bundled garbage assets that have all been foreclosed on, with the tiny few that are grade A or AAA, bond rating or securities rating, so they can bundle the trash with them and then sell them. These are Bitcoin. It'd be like saying, hey, you see these little coins right here? You're a coin dealer, correct, Mr. J-Stimp4? Yes, I am. I'm not, but pretend. Yeah, I'm a coin dealer. Been doing this for 17 years. We need you to follow some new guidelines. If you see anything fishy with any buying or not really buying, but anyone wanting to sell to you technically, you buying, them selling. If you see anything fishy, you need to act upon that. Here's our federal guidelines. Okay, I would have done that anyway. But thanks for giving me the paperwork on that. So I could make double sure I do that. I was gonna do it anyways. So I think this is a nonsense story as far as the effect they wanted to, have on people. Oh, Bitcoin, just get away. They're going to crack down. Not so fast. But the article does say, having long been advocates of Zero Hedge, long been advocates of Bitcoin ever since September 2015 when it traded at $230, for the simple reason. And let me back up. Can I just say that back in that time frame, correct, $230. I'm out here doing Webbot summaries, as I always do. Oh, Bitcoin's going to go to 408 first, then 428 in the very near future. And he thought at first it'd be late November or so, but, plus or minus a little bit of time. And we're going to see it bounce around 408, back to 428, a little higher, back down 408. It has to do this 3 times, and then once it does it the 3rd time, it will go above and stay above. That's what the Webbot said. Very end of November, it starts creeping up there. Oh, what do we got? It starts doing it in roughly the time frame it said. And I sat back amazed. Well, it was just 230, 40, and 50. It was bouncing around just a few months before that. Wow, it's almost doubled. So 230. How would you like to have been in on this at 230? The price today was 90, whatever I said it was, 90 something. The other day it was 1131. Imagine being in at 230. Imagine being in when it was $2 years ago, right? If you think about that too much, it might make you sick. But, moving on. Having long been advocates of Bitcoin ever since September 2015 when it traded at 230, for the simple reason that we were confident the digital currency would eventually become China's favorite means of circumventing capital controls. In other words, I want to put my money in somewhere safe. This Chinese currency keeps being devalued. There's constantly problems as we saw, these Chinese went over into Vancouver and Canada, different places in Canada, buying these outrageously expensive houses that pushed the price up massively beyond anything you could ever imagine what these houses were costing. And then I remember seeing some drone footage. Someone flew into one of these old wrecked mansions that used to be beautiful, and is now the earth is taking over and like pulling it into the earth. Vines and everything. Go inside, it looks like an absolute dump, like a crack house. Used to be and some Chinese person owns it on paper. They own it. They have no idea what they own. They probably think, I just got to put my money somewhere out of this country as fast as I can, buy some assets. That was the whole point. So now what they're suggesting here in Zero Hedge, and they have been, you're going to see, and WebBot too, Chinese, they're going to want to put their money in some kind of asset that stores their wealth. They're tired of seeing their currency devalued. So, anyways, furthermore, according to China Daily, China's financial services authorities require major executives of the Shanghai-based Bitcoin trading platform BTCC on Friday to, quote, rectify misbehavior in the trading of the virtual currency, without clarifying precisely what this means, and to raise awareness of risks as the value of Bitcoins experienced wild fluctuations. Okay, so we'll raise awareness. Anyone trading, we'll send out an email to all accounts. BTCC Company, Inc. Me Chinese, me play joke, me put Bitcoin in your Coke. You just get a simple email. By the way, trading Bitcoins could be risky. They're very volatile. Thank you. Have a nice day. Shishi ni. I think that's how they say like hello or goodbye. Shishi ni. Come on now, what you want now? It is unclear if the People's Bank of China has successfully burst China's latest bubble. According to data from the Shanghai-based Bitcoin trading exchange, BTCC, more than 100 new investors started trading the virtual currency in the past 3 days, a fast growth compared to some 20 new investors before October of 2016. Quote, this trend shows that the Bitcoin market's appeal has been rising to a new level, said a market review by BTCC dated January 4th. Feng Zinan, 43-year-old sales manager with Shanghai-based Moaxin Trade Ltd, said he invested some 135 yuan or 19,515 US dollars in the Bitcoin market, as he regards Bitcoin as a haven asset. In other words, a safe haven, just like you would say gold and silver. And this is the same thing Bitcoin, the WebBot's been saying. It's going to be treated like a safe haven asset, just like gold and silver. And you're going to see the Chinese gobbling this up out of control in the very near future. In one of the later reports, not that long ago, you're going to see China going crazy for Bitcoin. I read you the summary. Is it safe to say China is gobbling up the Bitcoins? Do I need to open up fiatleak.com real quick and show you? Maybe I do. Not Bitcoin. Fiat leak. If I can actually spell. And let's see what immediately. Where's the Bitcoins going? Saturday. Oh, there's a biggie. There we go. Hey, where's the U.S. on that? Where's the U.S.? Why can't I see the U.S.? Any other country? Why is China out of control right now? I just turned this on. This isn't pre-recorded. I didn't just pick the sweet spot. Oh, here goes one. Wait. Oh, sorry. It's passing by. It's going to South America. Sorry about that. So even the South Americans are getting it. Surprisingly, there should be some people in America. I mean, no? Or is it the ones in America being sold to those in China? Because it doesn't say where they're being sold. It just says where these are going to. Oh, here we go. Here's a nice little fatty for America. There you go. But China is the beast as far as Bitcoin goes. Look, they just destroyed everything we just did in half a second. Anyways, on to this other story from Martin Armstrong, ArmstrongEconomics.com. And you know what I find interesting? I have to show you this picture real fast because this really interests me. It's making me think right now. This picture right here. Every time you hear even a mainstream, especially the mainstream media, talk about Bitcoin or there's an article, this is what you see. These fake silver and gold looking Bitcoin. The B is like the dollar sign, with the little things going, the lines going through it. Every time that's what we see. Why is that? Is this some kind of hint? You know, like the future? You can get gold and silver coin for a Bitcoin later on or something? I mean, who decided this? I don't even know where this came from, but you keep seeing it. Martin Armstrong. The rally in Bitcoin has come out of China, which has accounted for 98% of Bitcoin trading in the past 6 months. Did you hear that? That's his numbers. I don't know where exactly he gets these numbers from. But if we're to look at that fiat leak I just showed you, I think that's an accurate number. 98% of Bitcoin trading in the past 6 months, China. China is also home to about 2/3 of the world's Bitcoin mining power. And from what I understand, electricity in China is quite cheap. So these quote-unquote mining rigs, you can, like I was doing it for a little while. I was mining the altcoins. I had 2 different motherboards. Each of them had 6 Radeon R9 280X video cards, so 6 and 6. And I was doing Feathercoin and Litecoin and all these other coins, and then we'd convert those on the exchanges to Bitcoin, and then I'd transfer the Bitcoin to my wallet. A guy named Trevor, one of my subscribers, he was like, I'll pay for the equipment. We can kind of get in on this together and like do like a 50-50 kind of a thing. And you just do all the work and whatever. So I said, okay. But I remember reading a lot about articles about this stuff. And in China, from what I recall reading, electricity is quite cheap. So in America, you got 6 video cards and another 6 video cards running at basically full speed, like full power. You're using quite a bit of wattage. You could, in those cards with the computer, I mean, I'm going to guess you could, I actually have a voltmeter or a wattage meter that I hooked up. I don't remember what it showed, but it could easily be 400, 500, 600 watts running. Well, no, it wasn't that high per card. I take that back. I think each card was drawing about 250 watts. I think that was the number. So anyways, in China it's cheap. So what that means is, let's say Bitcoin's $200 today. And even though I'm mining the altcoins, when I check my electric bill at the end of the month, I realize I need these altcoins to be at a certain price, which equates the same to Bitcoin because you're transferring them, if it takes 30 altcoins of whatever kind to make one Bitcoin, it doesn't matter whether you're mining Bitcoin or mining the altcoin. The point is, whatever it's costing me electric-wise, I have to have that money and then some profit for this to make sense. If I ever get to the point where I'm mining Bitcoin or altcoin or whatever, and my electric bill is telling me you're losing money, you stop, turn it off. And I got to that point in just a few months of doing it, and said, okay, the party's over. So in China, apparently electricity is a lot cheaper though. So they can keep going for quite a while. So this statement, 2/3 of it's happening out of China, I concur, I agree. And I believe it's for that specific reason, not just so that they can find their own little way of mining it and keep it themselves for their asset, their safe haven asset. They have cheap electricity, and it's like they're literally mining in a mine for gold and silver, except it's digital. Your computer's working. You can't just crack something, like hack it and make it happen. You have to wait. Just like mining, you got to wait. You got to, doing it old school with your pick and whatever, or you're using a backhoe, whatever you're using. It takes time. Got to run it through the plant, sell it off. They got to melt it down. You know what I mean? The same thing applies to Bitcoin mining. You turn your computers on with this thing running, and it just sits off somewhere and runs and runs and runs and runs. And that's it. And then the longer they run, the longer Bitcoin sticks around and the new hash code or whatever is cracked, it becomes exponentially harder each time a set of Bitcoins comes out into the world. So it takes longer. So my question is, what happens when it takes really long to get a lot more Bitcoin, or to get even the slightest amount of Bitcoins out? The price of Bitcoin should rapidly rise. So the phased transition spike in Bitcoin is very alarming, for it flies right in the face of government attempts to eliminate currency. The Chinese have been buying Bitcoin onshore, selling it offshore for another currency, and then moving the money to a bank account. This is how the Chinese individuals can take cash out of the country, circumventing all regulation. The Chinese government has been strengthening requirements for citizens by converting their yuan. with Trump coming into office, China fears that lower values for the yuan will become a trade war, even if the government is not actively trying to depreciate the yuan for trade. Conversions of yuan are already subject to a quota or currency controls in an effort to curb capital outflows. Bitcoin has been the escape method for capital fleeing China. With the looming trade war on the horizon, the Chinese government will have absolutely no choice but to come in and regulate Bitcoin, and its citizens now account for 98% of all trading. From a regulatory perspective, the days of passive treatment of Bitcoin may come to an end. Bitcoin has soared only because it has been the mechanism to obtain foreign exchange and take capital out of China. This could easily be considered an illegal operation, such as money laundering, to justify closing that window. Of course, you have the zealots who preach Bitcoin as the alternative to the dollar that they cannot shut down. All they have to do is declare Bitcoin's illegal, and the presumption of being in Bitcoin is a presumption of being a criminal. They are already using terms like cash is for criminals, and if you have a few thousand in cash, they just confiscate it, presuming you are a criminal, presuming you are a criminal under civil asset forfeiture, without having to prove you committed a crime or charging you. Keep in mind, we are dancing with the devil. There are no rules, just ruthless self-interest. They will do whatever it takes to survive. They will not relinquish power willingly. So that is something we Bitcoiners have to think about. If China alone really super duper cracks down on Bitcoin, because they don't want people taking their money offshore. That's the point. And they're doing it via Bitcoin, through a back door. I go on to exchange online. I trade my Bitcoins for US dollars, for example. I can take those dollars, bring them back into my country, reconvert them, whatever I have to do. Or just hang on to the dollars or keep it elsewhere. Keep it in an account that I created in another country, whatever. China does not want their people doing that. So if, let's assume 98% of all Bitcoin action right now is the Chinese, you want to talk about being able to absolutely crush Bitcoin. That's all they have to do. Oh, this is now illegal. You can't trade it. You can't transfer it. And then let's say the government put something in place that blocks communication to all the Bitcoin servers. And then the people in China are sitting there with Bitcoin wallets with nothing to do with them. They can't even get out and exchange them for anything. Or the government just says by decree, we're not even going to go that far. We're telling you now, do not transfer these out. Try to exchange them because we're going to, we'll log it somehow, whatever, and we'll go after you for criminal activity. All they have to do is scare you. The price of Bitcoin would be destroyed overnight. Would be absolutely destroyed overnight. However, Webbot does not seem to think that's about to happen, nor does anybody else who trusts in Bitcoin. At the same time, all governments across the world have to do is say Bitcoin, under subsection C, the new law, is treated as a currency, its own currency, not of a country, and we find that that is illegal for such and such reasons, and you have till such and such day to relinquish it. The flooding of Bitcoins would be epic. You wouldn't be able to sell it. You wouldn't be able to sell order. Nope. No one's selling. Gone. I mean, they'd be selling. No one would be buying. Who's going to buy something that's now illegal? I mean, wouldn't happen. So that is something we have to worry about. Especially someone who's really into Bitcoin and has a bunch. I don't have a bunch. I have a few, which I share with Trevor. At least the ones we mine together, I should say, because I do have a couple more. But anyways, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Bitcoin. But if the club wants a cashless society, do they really want to get rid of Bitcoin? It is cashless. And you could easily tie it into a card like a debit card or credit card. Easily. Would take nothing. So just some Bitcoin news for you to chew on. Take care.